Hey everybody. Tonight we're going to delve a little deeper into what we talked about in class today, which was graphing inequalities. We're going to start though with 4 situations, and we're going to translate each situation into a mathematical statement. In number 1 here, Aaron wants to spend less than $80 on a new jacket. We can express the amount of money she wants to spend using an inequality symbol. She wants to spend less than 80. So we can say that the cost of the jacket we want to be less than 80. Okay? Number 2, people older than 65 get a discount at the movie theater. In this case, the age of the people, if it's older than 65, then the age of the person must be greater than. A is greater than 65. Those are pretty straightforward. The cost is less than 80. The age of the person is greater than 65. In number 3, it says you must be at least 42 inches tall to ride the roller coaster. So if we're talking about the person's height here in relation to 42 inches, we know that h has to be greater than 42 to ride the roller coaster. But when it says at least 42 inches tall, that means you can also ride the roller coaster if you're equal to 42 inches tall. So we use this symbol, h is greater than or equal to 42. Your height can be 42 inches, or it could be any amount taller than that. Number 4 says that Kyle can eat at most 6 pieces of pizza. So let's say that P is the number of pieces of pizza he's going to eat, and in relation to 6, when it says at most 6 pieces of pizza, that means that he can't eat more than that. He can eat less than that. He could also eat 6 pieces. So the amount that he's going to eat, P, is less than or equal to 6. It just can't be greater than 6. Now let's take each of these inequalities and graph them on their own number lines. Let's start with number 1, C is less than 80. When I draw the number line, now, I'm not going to take my time and number all the way from 0 up to 80. I'm going to find different numbers to count by. When I do my number lines, I always like to have at least 3 numbers to give me a sense of context, a sense of placement of what my number looks like and where our solutions are going to be, the numbers that make this statement true. So if I want 80, I'm just going to put this in the middle here. I can start with 80 here. And 2 other numbers I can use, I can count by tens. I can put 90 to the right, and I could put 70 to the left. We always want our greater numbers to the right, our lesser numbers to the left. Now, I always want to make sure, since I'm counting by tens here, I really want to make sure that these spaces in between here are pretty much equal, because each jump of 10 should be about the same space. Now, since I'm drawing this by hand, it's not going to be perfect, but I want to be as perfect as I can. Now, to show C is less than 80, that means that all these numbers over here to the left, right, 70, 75, 65, 71, all of these numbers would make the statement true. So we know we're going to shade in those numbers. Now, 80 will not make this true because 80 is not less than 80. So this is when we need to use an open circle. We use the open circle and we shade in all the numbers here to the left. And we draw our arrow to show that all of these numbers that continue to the left, 60, 50, 20, 0, negative 30, all make this statement true. Now the reason we use the open circle, remember, is because these numbers can get all the way right up to 80. It could be 79.999996. As close to 80 as we can possibly imagine, but can't actually be equal to 80. So because that circle is not shaded in, it means that 80 is not part of our answer. Number 2 is going to look a lot like this. We have our number line. I'm going to put 3 numbers on here. I have 65. We can put that in the middle. I can put let's put 60 right here. We'll count by fives. So 60, 65, and 70. My spaces are pretty even where I'm counting by fives. And now we can graph this. A is greater than 65, so in this case, I'm going to use an open circle again because it can't be equal to 65. And we shade to the right this time because we want to shade in all the numbers that are greater than 65. 66, 66.2, 71.9, all of these numbers over here to the right. Number 3, h is h is greater than or equal to 42. I can plot 42 here. And you know what? I'm going to count by 21s. I'm going to put 21 here. I'm going to put 63 over here. Each space that we jump counts as 21. Now, h is greater than or equal to 42. Because it could be equal to 42 here, this is the case where we put our circle, because that's where our line is starting. We're actually going to shade in the circle. We call this a closed circle. We shade that in. So 42 is part of our answer. H could be 42. H is also all the numbers greater than 42 potentially, right? Could be equal to 42 or greater than. So 50, 60, 85, all of these numbers to the right. Number 4 is going to be similar in one respect. It's could be equal to the number that we're looking at. We'll put 6 on here, and let's count by 6s. We'll put 0, and we'll put 12. P is less than or equal to 6. So P could be equal to 6. So we shade in the circle to show that that's a potential solution, and we shade in all the numbers that would also make this statement true, which includes all these numbers to the left, including 0 and all of the negative numbers. Alright, those are all of our examples for tonight, but before we wrap up, I want to talk about one of the most common mistakes that people make when they're graphing inequalities, and that's when they mess up the circle. Remember, if you have greater than or less than in your inequality, you're going to have an open circle because the variable cannot be equal to that number, right? If we have x is less than 2, x cannot equal 2. If we have a is greater than 4, a has to be the numbers that are larger than 4. It can't be equal to 4. So that's why we use the open circle. When we have greater than or equal to and less than or equal to, that's when we have to use the closed circle, because in this case the variable can be equal to that number. Like if we have c is greater than or equal to -6, we have to put a closed circle at -6. If h is less than or equal to 12, we have to make sure we fill in that circle at 12 on the number line to show that 12 is a possible value for h. Okay, that's it for tonight. Go ahead, submit your notes, and I will see you in class tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.